In a stunning court filing, Ghislaine Maxwell says that there are 25 accomplices of Jeffrey Epstein who entered into secret settlements with plaintiff lawyers, and that there are 4 unnamed co-conspirators who worked for Jeffrey Epstein that were not charged. My name is Dina Doll with the MeidasTouch Network. Let's get into this. Now, as we know, Ghislaine Maxwell is not satisfied with her cushy Club Med situation she is in. She is trying to get out of jail. She tasted a bite of freedom. She realized what Trump was willing to do to perhaps keep her quiet and wants more of the same. Now, as we know, Ghislaine Maxwell tried to appeal her conviction all the way up to the Supreme Court and lost. Now she's filing a habeas corpus petition, which is the very last resort. It's a post-conviction appeal, which essentially says that all of your appellate issues have been decided because the Supreme Court no longer is going to take your case. But your conviction is so fundamentally unfair and unconstitutional that it should be reversed. This is the habeas corpus petition. And in that petition, she says that there were 25 of these accomplices of Jeffrey Epstein that entered into secret agreements with plaintiff lawyers. She talks about the fact that the plaintiff's lawyers spoke in Capitol Hill and said that they talked about a list and that they, in fact, knew the names because of these secret settlements. She also says that 4 employee co-conspirators of Jeffrey Epstein were not charged. Whether or not this is something that maybe she's ready to talk about, or is this her way of trying to get Trump to keep her quiet and pardon her? Let's get into it. So she not only talks about these secret settlements, but she also talks specifically about 2 men that are well known to be associates of both Trump and Epstein. She talks specifically about Leon Black. Now, Leon Black, as we know, entered into a settlement. $62.5 million settlement with the U.S. Virgin Islands. He did not admit guilt, but the lawsuit was about the fact that his financial dealings with Epstein helped fund Jeffrey Epstein's operation. That operation, as we know, was sex trafficking of children. Leon Black already settled into this agreement. She brings this up in her filing. She also talks about Wexner. Now, as we know, Wexner, Victoria's Secret, again, associate of Trump and Epstein. Now, he specifically also has spoken about Trump in sworn testimony. Leon Black, the CEO of Apollo Investment Fund, evidently paid Epstein $170 million. But he says, yes, I paid him that money, but I had no idea about this sex trafficking ring. Despite the fact that Virginia Giuffre talks about how you would just enter into Epstein's home and see nude pictures on the wall. And if you went to the island, you would see nude girls walking around. But supposedly this was for tax and estate planning, $170 million. He also, according to the Daily Beast, testified to Congress in 2018. Congress was investigating whether or not there was Russian interference in the 2016 election. This is, of course, before Epstein died in prison. So in his testimony to Congress, he talks about Trump, being with Trump during a trip to Russia in the naughty 90s, where they attended a concert, a discotheque, and might have been in a strip club together. So you have Trump and Leon Black, according to Leon Black's testimony, being in Russia, going to a strip club, a disco, also around the same time, being friends with Epstein, giving money to Epstein. So Maxwell is calling out by name Leon Black in this filing, perhaps a signal to Trump to pardon her because of what she knows. She also mentions Wexner. as we know, Wexner is the Victoria's Secret Wexner. She says in her filing that Wexner was accused of participating and witnessing abuse, but no settlement with Wexner was revealed. And then she also talks about the fact that no discovery on Leon Black was provided to petitioner. So she's implying there that there was some sort of settlement with Wexner and that there was in fact like a law enforcement investigation or at least some sort of civil discovery that was obtained about Leon Black that wasn't provided to her. She's trying to argue that her conviction should be overturned because of selective prosecution, because she was prosecuted and not all these other people, and that she wasn't provided the information that was collected about all these other people. 29 other people she's talking about. 25 who entered into settlements, 4 who were co-conspirators. And she says it's selective prosecution and I wasn't given the information to be able to use at trial. Now, whether or not, this is true or if this is somebody just insinuating something, I mean, if it were true, she would definitely be the one to know, is if indeed there were secret settlements, you would think there would be non-disclosure agreements with those secret settlements. Because as we know, again, Virginia Giuffre in her book talks over and over about how she entered into non-disclosure agreements at the same time. And that would be very standard legal practice to enter into a non-disclosure agreement as well with the settlement agreement. And that could be perhaps why we are not hearing the names of the lists. Because if that person who entered into a non-disclosure agreement says the name, you are breaking that. And the penalty for a non-disclosure agreement, I'm sure, would be massive. And so if there were indeed 25 settlements with non-disclosure agreements, it may not just be fear of retribution, but literally fear of breaking those non-disclosure agreements, and perhaps why you're not just having somebody like Massey read out the names, because if you've obtained that, you don't want to implicate any breach of the non-disclosure agreement. You may not actually know the names. So this is very interesting. It could kind of tie together perhaps why nobody has actually just read those names, if they're in fact already settlements, already some non-disclosure agreements. No wonder there's a call to just release the information the Department of Justice already has about all of these people. Especially, it sounds like, at least according to Ghislaine Maxwell, these unnamed 4 co-conspirators, which sounds like the Department of Justice would have quite a bit of information about already, if indeed they were considered co-conspirators by the Department of Justice. So we'll continue to follow this story here on MeidasTouch. Be sure to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Justice for the victims. Will it come at the hands of Maxwell and her bid to try to get free, or will Trump just give her what she wants? He seems to be doing everything he can to distract us from the Epstein files. Those of us still talking about it, keeping it in the attention in order to get justice for the victims. Also follow the podcast, the Mistrial podcast, and to check out our sponsors. So grateful for our sponsors. They're not censoring us. This information is so important to get out.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.